In 2004, Kara Zor-El returned after a long absence, following her tragic demise in Crisis on Infinite Earths, although a time-displaced pre-Crisis Supergirl had appeared almost 2 years prior. Alongside a new look that very much reflected the decade, Supergirl underwent a complete reboot, introduced as if she'd never appeared before in issues 8 to 13 of Superman/Batman, penciled by the late Michael Turner and written by a racist. Seeing as this was quite a few years into the post-Crisis continuity, Kara was introduced to a DCU that differed from the one she'd previously been a part of. The generation of sidekicks she previously outshone had all grown up, meaning Kara now had more in common with the new Robin, new Wonder Girl, and new Kid Flash. Additionally, there was a new Superboy, and there had been others to take on the mantle of Supergirl. Since then, continuity regarding Supergirl has been inconsistent to say the least, which is very telling, as mapping out a timeline for Superman alone is already a challenge. By 2011, the version of Kara we met in 04 was replaced yet again thanks to the New 52, but then when the Superman of the New 52 was replaced by and later merged with that of post-Crisis, the timeline was altered to closely resemble the way things were before the New 52. In both instances, Kara remained a teenager, until 2022, when her history became much more in line with the pre-Crisis depiction, with her being closer in age to characters like Dick Grayson. But as of now, we've yet to see much of that history acknowledged. Though I'm not averse to seeing beloved characters reimagined for a new generation of fans to fall in love with, I couldn't see certain male characters undergoing a reboot as drastic as Kara's. When Barry Allen finally returned from the dead, while he had a new origin story, his prior history hadn't been forgotten. The truth is, Kara vanished because she was believed to make her cousin less special, and once she finally got a book, it very much leaned into the male gaze, despite Kara only being around 15 or 16 years old. It's safe to say that Supergirl's treatment over the years has been unfortunate, because there's enough to set her apart from Kal without forcing her to be someone she's not, forcing her to remain a kid while Dick Grayson and Wally West get to grow up, or replacing her with a protoplasmic shapeshifter from a pocket universe that then fuses with a regular girl turned Earthborn Angel of Fire. So I would like to talk about some of the things that make Argo City's last survivor so super, who I think she is at her core, and why, all things considered, I am glad she's here to stay. Well, where better to begin than with Argo City itself? The thing I find saddest about Krypton's destruction, other than the fact it could have been prevented, is that some tried, but it was too late. There was of course Jor-El, who proposed a plan to save everybody, only to be dismissed as paranoid. But also his brother Zor-El, who invented the dome that protected Argo City, which inhabited many of those to survive the planet's explosion. It was thanks to this that Kara got to live a life of normality, at least for a while, until what remained of Krypton was eventually wiped out in a cruel twist of fate. There's something especially gruesome about the way Argo City's people went out, because it wasn't the sudden meteor shower that finished them, but instead the kryptonite radiation that caused a slow and painful death. On top of watching her people drop dead, overnight Kara was forced to start anew and dropped off at an orphanage, which is a real dick move on Kal's part. This is why, even though I understand where the argument is rooted, the idea that Supergirl's existence undermines Superman's title of Last Son of Krypton doesn't make much sense. In her pre-Crisis origin, Kara never knew a Krypton beyond Argo City, and in the origins where she actually did witness the planet's destruction, Kara was still a teenager when she landed on Earth. Where Kal grew up super an outsider his whole life, Kara was a regular person before she landed on Earth. She became an outsider. This is very much on display in Superman Family 168, in which she says that sometimes she wishes she had stayed on Argo City. This is one of the few things that has remained consistent. The younger depiction of Kara we see after Crisis isn't instantly welcomed by the people of Earth. Things worsen during the New Krypton saga, when she's caught in the middle of a conflict between the people of Kandor, led by her mother, Allura, and Earth, which escalates when Jor-El is killed by Reactron. In the New 52, she crashes on Earth to find a group of men in power armor trying to capture her. The Rebirth run shows Kara struggling to use Earth's far more primitive technology, which is doubly embarrassing as she was considered a genius back home. And in Supergirl Volume 7, Issue 21, when talking about Krypton, Kara puts it bluntly, telling Kal, I had a life there, years of memories. I had so many people I loved, friends I laughed with, silly crushes I daydreamed about the future with, and they are all dead, and I'm still here. Zor and Allura sending their daughter to Earth saved her life, while also complicating it. So you'd think all Kara's been through would leave her harsh and jaded, but it hasn't. It only made her more empathetic and strengthened her devotion to protecting her adoptive world. Although she may sometimes wish to be a regular person again, she'll always embrace being different if it means she can look out for others who are just like her. It's why she chooses to live among the people of Earth instead of Kandor, which in the pre-crisis continuity actually became home to her parents, who had also managed to escape Argo City but didn't feel at home in Earth's environment. One of my favorite Supergirl stories is in issue 19 of the 2016 series, in which Kara befriends a non-binary kid and helps them find the courage to not only come out to their parents, but also stand up for themselves. Kara is all about finding the silver lining, and that is what I most want to highlight. What happened to Argo City was gruesome and unfair. What happened to Krypton was unfair. But the last-ditch efforts of Zor-El weren't in vain, because so long as Kara lives, so does a piece of Krypton, just as a part of Krypton lived on through the people of Argo City. This is even demonstrated through her dynamic with the other remaining Kryptonians. In recent years, Kara has spent a lot of time with Krypto, who in Supergirl Volume 7, Issue 30, is the one to stop her from taking a life and remind her who she is when she's blinded by rage after the destruction of Kandor and a revelation about Krypton's destruction that I would rather not get into. I've also grown particularly fond of Kara's dynamic with relatively new characters like Jonathan Kent, who is of course equal parts human and Kryptonian, or the Super Twins who were raised on Warworld and come from an offshoot of Kryptonians. Characters with little relation to Krypton other than blood. I'm reminded of this moment in the Supergirl special one-shots where John asks Kara to describe her memory of Argo City and what it was like to grow up there, as well as the part in Action Comics 1058, where Kara reads a book on Kryptonian fables to the twins. This ends up being how Otho and Oso Ra decide on their hero names, naming themselves after a pair of Kryptonian heroes. The writer of this Action Comics issue, Philip Kennedy Johnson, has even described Kara as the custodian of Kryptonian culture, as well as the House of L's matriarch. In my eyes, Kara legitimizes the idea of a super family, because Superman is fundamentally lonely. Where Superman is the product of both Krypton and Earth, Supergirl is the bridge connecting them. Wherever she flies, the souls of Krypton follow. If there is always a way, then Kara Zor-El is living proof. Overall, I wish the super family were as consistently prominent as others, but Supergirl in particular deserves far better than she's ever received in my lifetime. She is not a sidekick, a knockoff, or a dark reflection. She is even more than a sign of hope in the face of unquantifiable loss. She reminds us of what was lost. She ensures that it won't be forgotten. And this time, she isn't going anywhere.